community is welcome to apply.
And there's some restrictions, like they typically in the past, and I haven't seen the new restrictions, they couldn't sell things at the event. They couldn't charge. It's supposed to be a free event for the community. So
I'm pulling it up right now if you want to know the specifics. So they must be a nonprofit organization within Brimfield Township. The event must directly impact the community. The event must be for residents that are free and open to the public, provide an engagement opportunity, enabling connection with residents in a meaningful way. They do have to display a NOPEC item with a NOPEC logo. It's not required, but it's a bonus if they can. And yeah, that's it.
Well, I'm very sure that Shirley will want to write a very good article explaining it.
Can't be politically or religiously centered event. That's the other one.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have that motion on the floor. All in favor?
Yeah, we don't have a motion.
We don't. It was just an informational
That was just
item.
informational.
I thought we were going to approve to put that out there, though.
Oh, it's already out. You guys approved, I think you approved the resolution at a previous meeting. So this was just informational.
Oh,
Yeah, we signed
is that
for
it?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, we signed the last meeting to accept the grant.
All right. Sorry.
And then the next item will start for discussion, but I am looking for approval to purchase new township signs with GDI at an amount not to exceed $24,845.
Okay, well, I'm going to make that motion in the positive.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, so we're not getting rid of our welcome to Brimfield signs, just so everyone knows. These are for, different areas like Cranberry Creek, McGuire Park.
It's for the parks and any community buildings.
Right. So.
Well, and what those were for too, those were to add to the current Brimfield, welcome to Brimfield signs. That was kind of all of our marking of Brimfield Township. So yeah, that coordinates with the 4 welcome signs.
Correct.
Yeah, it looks good.
My only concern on it is just when we look at the money, because we haven't gotten to the acceptance of the budget for 2025. John, looking at the budget, which I've just started going through, and then looking at expected cost or projected cost on the construction project yet, is this something that the fiscal office is supportive of? Is this something the fiscal office thinks we need to table for another week or two?
I'm in approval of it. It's coming out of the M&I money is where it's coming out of.
Okay.
And the number I gave you, so there are a couple things that we do need to decide on. This is a maximum amount. So there will be a couple things I'm going to change. One, no cost impact, but I was talking with Cassie. I want to add to our park signs that they're open dawn to dusk. So that's an addition to the signs, no cost related to that. But one, the community center sign, we do want lighting on that sign. There's a cost in the proposal, but we're not going to include that lighting at this time. We're going to look at one of the things we need to start planning on is getting lighting at the parking lot at that community center because there are events there in the evening. And so once those lights are installed, we can just run a light from those light fixtures. So that price will come down for that lighting. And then the other one that I do need a decision on is what type of sign we want for the library. So in that quote, there is a price for both the large sign and the smaller sign. So we just need to decide which one we're going with. I did speak to the library just to get an understanding of how signage is handled at their other locations. And it was different for every location. Some of their branches, the Lions Club had donated money for signs. Some of the other townships had funded the signs. So, it's not unique for us to fund a sign for the library. I don't know if it was Randolph, but there was at least one other township that had bought the sign for their library as well. So looking at that, again, just need to decide on what sign to pick. In your packet, you'll see a draft picture of both signs for the library, both the large sign and the small sign. The difference between those two is approximately, so the smaller sign is $595. The larger sign is 2,845. So yeah, I just need a decision on what type of sign we're going with at that location.
I'm in support of the larger sign. We're using the larger sign for our Lions Community Park, for Cranberry Creek, for the community center, the larger buildings. And I think that just stays with that, and using the smaller signs for some of the smaller offshoot parks and locations. So it would be my recommendation that we stick with the larger sign, because it is a building that we own. And as GDI disclosed in our last meeting, they are able to resurface that if we ever had to in the future.
They're able to what?
Resurface it, so we wouldn't have to take it out and redo it. If the library closed in 5 years from now, they could put basically a cover over the front of that.
No, I told Holly, these small signs, I know they're economical, but I'm afraid people are going to replace their sign and put up for sale.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do like the economical point. I'm not sure exactly how we've given the library so much. We pay so much for them, and I don't know. Does the library never pay for any of their signs?
When
Or
I
they
spoke,
meet us halfway or something?
yeah, when I spoke with her, they were waiting to hear from us. So I had asked her if they had discussed purchasing a sign, but they knew that we had already been discussing purchasing one, so they were waiting to hear from us.
Good. Since we are a partnership, would it be prudent to split the cost with them? I don't know. John, remind me, we pay part of their utilities?
We pay all the utilities there.
God damn.
No, we don't pay all the utilities. We pay the snow removal. We don't do electric and gas, but
I'm
garbage
pulling it up.
removal.
We do pay their utilities. I think it's,
I
I'll pull up their, hold on.
Or part
thought
of,
those were the only two things, and then we paid for garbage removal. We paid for snow removal,
Moment.
cut the grass.
I know it's a great benefit for the township overall. Nick, you probably know better than I. Their usage, are they doing well?
Yes, actually, last time I talked to him, I believe that it was the highest visited library for Portage County in the library system. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't include Kent or Ravenna, because they're not part of Portage County library system. Those are offshoots. But their numbers are really high. They have lots of events going.
So this would be a one-time cost.
Yeah, and like I said, it's our building. That's I'm not even looking at it from
We
the
have a
library
contract.
standpoint.
How long is our contract with them? Does anyone remember?
We
We have a
I-
time frame on it?
I have their contract up, so we pay for 100% of cost of the repairs and maintenance to the building, cost of water, sewer, trash removal, snow removal, repairs. They pay for heat, electricity, and janitorial services.
And they pay for their staff. So-
And this agreement does not have an end date.
Okay.
I think there was just a get out of the contract.
There's a
at the
clause,
end.
yeah, instead of continuing
From
trying
both
to
of
renew.
the ends.
Well, I
of
feel
ours.
better. If we could use them over again for something, I just hate to.
Yeah, that was my one question to GDI when they were here last week was, do we have to buy a whole new sign if it was to transfer for some reason? And they said, no, could be, basically there's a piece they put right on the front of it.
But they don't have much of a front yard. One of these little signs might fit easier there. I think. They got the
Now,
storage
Are
container.
you
up
looking
there.
at this kind of a sign at the library?
Yes.
So Sue, those pages you see there, it's either the one at the top or it's the one on the bottom. Those are the two options.
Well, I'm looking at the intersection there, and there's something going on all the corners. And I'm just wondering if the bigger sign with the wood on the sides, if that's going to give any, where like a visual when cars, because that's where all the cars come through to pick up the kids at the school.
Well, this would go in front of the library. It would not go out it would not go out on the main road.
Okay.
This would just be in front of the library.
Definitely give some advertisement.
Which I haven't seen those.
Okay.
I
I'm
know.
just going to interrupt here for 1 second because Mike and I just discussed something. They haven't come through the zoning office yet. So I don't know where,
Some of them are gonna, I mean, they're all gonna need permits, whether they need variances or not, I don't know yet. So
GDI, I believe, already talked with Mike, so they,
they'll be applying.
yeah,
Yep.
that will be after we approve them. We just have to decide which ones, but they've already reached out to have that initial conversation.
well, I just asked Mike though, that I know we have requirements for other businesses in town in regards to what the style of their signs are and how they look. Do those fall within that category?
Yeah, they do. I mean, the look is fine. It's just, you gotta look at the size and distance off right of ways, things like that.
All right, I just didn't want us to approve right now and then find out we made Sheets mad because we made them do a sign and we didn't do it that way. So, okay, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
But
Okay.
yeah, GDI did discuss this with me and I said that everything's gotta be permitted, so.
Is this where you're thinking?
Packaging.
Okay.
Which one?
So it would be right there.
Be right there, baby.
Sale sign.
Yeah.
I know.
Tree.
I don't know. I guess I'm like John. I mean, it does look like a for sale sign. Probably not good advertisement for the library.
Yeah, I think the bigger sign looks a little more professional. And we're doing it at all the
Well, that
buildings.
is our town center. I
Yeah.
mean, since most people think we're Kent anyhow, maybe they'll realize that they're living in Brimfield.
With a big sign that tells them they're in Brimfield.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
Mike has been hearing all my rants about when I go into these new stores and says, welcome to Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bull crap. So, so Mike's been very effective getting some of these changed. Yeah, I'm good. So,
Go with the
Larger
larger one.
sign?
yeah, I'm good with the larger.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the
But we got
second,
to vote on it, so.
Yeah.
yeah, we have, and then the second one was for Horner's Hills. Do we want that sign right now since that's not technically an active park? I was looking at it like, let's get them all at once because sometimes when,
As much as I would love to have a sign over there, I'm afraid you're gonna find that in somebody's front yard. Because that whole bottom, where you would put it, is, that's where all the water comes rushing down. And half the time it's a big, so
It
there's
is-
really
it
not,
is a-
there's not a good place to put a sign there. You can put it up at the top where we wanted to put in the swing sets, but then you're gonna have the neighbors who do not want it in their backyard. So,
hold off on that one.
I mean, it's basically nothing more than a green space,
Yeah,
and
and it's very small.
I mean, and Jerry Horner was a wonderful person on our park board, and I mean, as long as it reflects on our website that it's called Horner's Hills, I just think I don't want to say it, but I think we'd be wasting money there.
Okay.
I just know kids.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
Yeah,
my
so-
thought.
okay.
So that's the zoning 2 changes.
Yes.
All right. So to amend the motion as presented with the amendment of the large sign for the library and no sign at Horner's Hills.
But yeah, just so everyone remembers, it's on our website. I hope it's on our website.
I will double check.
I'll second.
You made the first one. Are you on? We'll
Wait,
switch
he
them.
amended.
Yeah. So it's an amendment. So it's a motion with inside a motion.
Okay,
I'll get ready your first one. and put that. Nick made it and Mike made
trying to confuse myself.
it. You confused me. All in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I have.
I need to amend the agenda.
Okay.
I thought this was on here, but then when I looked at the back of and we need it before parks because there's another item. I need to add, under the fiscal office, township budget, number 2A.
Do you want that under admin so we can discuss it now, or you just want to go to fiscal?
We can do it now. That's fine. I just wanted to make sure it was before parks because there's a spot out there that we need to talk to this first. We'll just make it right now. We could add it to the agenda or talk about it right now.
So I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda to add the fiscal office's budget approval.
B
2A.
to
So it'll actually,
We already have it
this will
already.
be,
Oh, we're adding it under
this will be 2C.
2C. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Under admin.
If it's under admin, it's going to be 2D
yeah, because we already
because
did
this was
approval.
supposed to be under new business.
Well, the inventory is under old business because we already have discussed it. So old business is under 2B.
Okay.
And then this is new business, so that would be 2C.
You're right, 2C. Okay, all in favor? Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, I emailed it to you guys yesterday, and also I handed it out to you today. What I did, and we've done this, so and Craig actually even announced it in his little report that we had. The last week, as we had mentioned in the prior meeting, is that I was going to be meeting with all the department heads to go through their part of the budget to make sure all their plans fit into that, and we have gotten that okay with the fiscal office and each department. So we've matched up all their numbers and all their projects and all those, and those are listed on the back sections of those reports. One of the things that we had in there was changing it because Cassie has a motion coming up to tear down some of a barn at McGuire Park. And I know, Nick, we had that discussion last week that we wanted to make sure that the budget was approved for all that before we went and spent all that. We cut her list down of all the things that she had because right now we have an issue with TIF verification in regards to how one of the TIFs is going to work. So we're waiting for verification back from our legal team to figure out how that works. That was the one that was attached to the McGuire Park and how the funding will work for that. So what we did is that we moved the two items that were the big items that we needed to get the park open under the M&I, under Talmadge, is what we did so that they could tear down the building. They could get, well, there's a couple items. They could get security lighting back there. We could get garbage cans, and was it a picnic? Were they picnic tables or dog stations? Yes, that's what we're going to do. So we do have enough in that budget under the M&I to take care of those items. But the whole list that she had, we're tabling all that until we get a determination on what the TIF money for McGuire Park's going to be. So that way they can get started, and all of a sudden we're not trying to open a park in August and we miss the whole summer. So I just wanted to make sure those were out there. So I'm going to need a board approval on the budget that we have. I submitted the actual first 5 pages of that comes from the fiscal office job, but the last pages are how the departments are spending their money. But again, I've met with all the departments to make sure that they were on board with how we were going to spend their budget money. It was their request on all those items. So if you looked under roads, there were some roads that Dave has out there for chip and seal and paving and all those. Those all fit in their projects. So what I need today, and I wanted to get it done before Parks, she's going to ask for money to tear down that building. I just wanted to approve the budget.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the 2025 budget from the fiscal office.
I will make that motion.
Second.
So we have a motion and second. Any discussion on the budget? John, I didn't get this till last night. I really haven't had a chance to look at it to ask any questions.
Well, you can bring them up here. I just, I know it was the last minute. We had to meet with, yesterday. We finished up with admin and police. It was yesterday, right, Roy? Did we meet yesterday?
No, I
I
think
can't remember what day it is now anymore.
We were yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get it finished until yesterday afternoon. So,
Okay.
but yeah, any of those, keep in mind, this is a fluid budget. The only thing that's out there is the numbers that I sent to the county the first time. This is the first amendment on our estimated budget on what we're going to have. If we get more money down the road and we want to spend that, we need to send a motion to change their, the budget, and then they'll approve that, and then we can appropriate that and spend it. But also realize on this budget, this is estimated. So if we don't collect that money, we can't spend it. So even if I said that we had $1 million sitting out there and we got 900,000, I can only spend 900,000. If we got $1.1 million and I wanted to spend the additional 100,000, we have to go to the board, and then the board passes that and we bring it back to the budget commission, approves all that. So internally within those funds, the funds are already set. The dollar amounts that are in the funds, those are set up by the first 5 pages. It's how we spend that money within the funds.
Okay.
From the auditor's perspective, they don't care what we do on the inside of the fund. The fund just has to equal what is on our appropriated allowed amount to spend. So if police want to switch it from contracted services to repairs and maintenance and switch that amount, it doesn't it doesn't matter to audits. They don't care. As long as, like, if they had $1 million, that number doesn't go above that number. So any of those items that are out there, Nick, from your perspective, if you look like just at Dave's as an example, he has roads out there that he wanted. If you wanted to chit chat with Dave later and say, you know what, I disagree with maybe the road you have out there, we can always change those things within that, but he's working with X amount of dollars within that budget, if that makes sense.
Yes.
It does.
Okay, well, I'm glad you sit down with everyone and go through this.
Well, they're part of the budget just as I am. I mean, we're working with them to make sure they know what they have, how they stay in their budgets, how they can determine to run their departments. That's how this is all set up to run. So, and I thank all of them. They're all very prepared before they come into the meetings. They're very prepared with items. So thank you to the board members and everybody else involved. So we have a motion on the board to accept the 2025 budget. All in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
I'll abstain.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Any other questions under administration? All right. Hearing none, we'll move into zoning and economic development.
Thanks. The first update we have is Discount Drug Mart. What I have on here is that I was getting close to the zoning certificate, but this afternoon that changed because I got a call from the county approving the curb cuts. And I have an email from Mike Collins as well. So I did go ahead and issue the zoning certificate. Drug Mart said that they will be starting work as soon as Monday. So we'll see them on the site. And then the framing started on the apartment homes behind the elementary school. And then Woolen Engineering is approved for their second building on Mogador Road. Our new business is currently working with Portage Development Board and Portage County Port Authority on a potential new business. They're looking at the acreage on the Carg industrial property. That concludes my report.
Any questions for zoning and economic development?
We're busy.
All right.
How many
hearing none.
acres are they looking at?
All of it.
All of them?
All of it. I think it's close to 70 acres.
Would that require a road back there to connect to where Talmadge or Brimfield Aggregate is? Would
They
that,
require a road, yeah. They're gonna have to cut in a road. So we're looking at Port Authority with the road as well as TIFs and if we could pull it all together.
and then that would be connected now. You could do, it's like a U then to get around there. If you came in Carg, you could go out.
He
Brimfield
didn't,
Aggregate.
he didn't submit anything as far as how he's gonna connect it, but we're just preliminary right now.
It's not the new Brimfield International Airport, is it?
No,
Just
It's
ask.
the casino. that he's putting in.
Okay.
but the thing is there's 70, I believe 70 total acres and that could go down as low as, an acre or two.
Wow. Boy, that's been sitting for a long time back there.
Yeah, it's still in the initial works, but we'll see if we could work a deal.
Okay. That's me.
All right. Any other questions for zoning? Hearing none. Road department, any updates that we need from road department? I know Dave couldn't be with us today.
Yeah, no updates.
I got something to say about the road department. You know, I'm on the board of the Young at Heart senior citizens group here in the town. And we went down Friday to pull in there and there's new signs. And it said that the exit, there's a new sign that says exit, and that's where everybody goes into the first line or the first road to go into the parking lot. So that's become the exit, and the entrance has become the cemented road, which would be the second one if you're headed east. So different people at that meeting made comments that the sign should be reversed and that they should come in the first one to go right into the parking lot instead of winding that little curvy thing for the second road. And as you go, when you go out the road where that would be the exit, it's flat there, but you got these two little bumps coming down and it's hard to see what's coming. So they suggested that I let y'all know that they think that the sign should be switched.
I think originally we had them coming in the concrete driveway because that pulls you up to the building so you can drop off and then go park.
Well, they were looking at parking
So
first.
because if you park first, then you got to go up to drop stuff off and you have an event going, then you're driving into traffic,
Okay.
right? So the idea is you pull up to the house, drop off your goods.
Yeah,
go
they
park.
didn't like your idea. So I just told him I would let everybody know.
And the driveway's a little curvy.
And
But
it's
you gotta
real
come in
clear.
and out of it no matter what, so.
I don't like
I
that little
just-
concrete.
I mean,
road.
it probably does make, it was the last time we had what event do we have there? Oh, well, you can't say what, the shop of the cop with the PD there.
Yeah.
It was a big cluster.
Right.
It didn't matter. I mean, there's just so many people. We need,
There's not
actually,
enough
we
parking
need,
when there's
we
big
need,
events.
we need a bigger parking lot.
Yeah, we did the Girl Scouts. They do their cookie rally kickoff there, and there's so many people. There was no parking. I mean, we were all the way down
Yeah,
down the road.
We gotta talk to Dave, possibly see if there's any room for us to make it a little bit larger, the parking lot.
Yeah, it fills up quickly.
It does.
So
You
what,
can't double park.
now, what are you going to do about my request to have the sign switched?
You know, it sort of makes sense, Sue, having them,
Have them go the way they are?
I'd sit down and talk to Dave.
Yeah, I'd get Dave's
Okay.
opinion on it. I'd kick it over to
Okay.
him.
Yeah, Dave knows roads.
Yeah. Well, I know.
But I think we need
I
to,
just know old people, and I know that's hard for some of them to.
well, I'm
to
gonna
do
be
that.
retiring. Could I drive a shuttle?
If you want to, you can do whatever you want
I'll
to
wear a
do.
hat, I promise.
Maybe even Cassie, I guess, you guys handle a lot of the reservations and the activities there. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are people are just going to drive in the way that they want to drive. I mean, it's nice to have signage, but as someone who works in parks, people tend to ignore signage. So
That is very true.
Okay. Well, don't shoot the messenger.
But we do need a larger parking lot, don't you think?
yes,
At least get another dozen spots or something.
Yep.
Dave in his wisdom, I'm sure, could figure out something. Okay,
All right. Anything else under roads?
you're doing a
Hearing
wonderful.
none?
job.
We'll go into Parks and Rec. Cassie, floor is yours.
okay. First item: the Parks Department attended the OPRA conference, the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association conference, on February 3rd and 5th. Hannah and I had a really wonderful time. Got to see our parks colleagues and had 2.5 days of learning sessions, and it was really awesome.
Good, I'm glad you went.
Yes.
You can learn so much at those events.
Yeah, we learned a lot and got a lot of valuable information and templates for different forms and really great presentations and things that we got to take home. So that was really cool. All right, my second item is a discussion about Brimfest. This is the time of year where we start doing the big planning for Brimfest. And it's come to my attention that we have quite a few logistical issues with the ongoing development in the town center. So some of those include parking, with Drug Mart coming in the main area where we do the parking in the grass next to the Kelso House, and the new ownership of the plaza, and the homes being constructed on, that's Town Center Drive, correct? We're going to run into some issues with fireworks, infrastructure. Do we have enough electric and water to support all of these things that we're doing? So it is my suggestion that in lieu of Brimfest this year, we do a event series that ties in the elements of Brimfest, including events that we already hold, including Touch-a-Truck, and bringing back the Fall Festival that we used to do a few years ago, and incorporating some new things. Some ideas were a senior picnic and a roller skate night. So I think this would help us cut down on some of the costs. We could get these sponsored. And then it would help us, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The other concern that I have about this event is spending so much money on 1.5 days that we learned last year can be full of rain. So this gives people multiple opportunities to participate. So.
To add on to her money perspective, all those things are getting very, very, very costly for what we have to spend on those. So we have to make some changes on something.
Yeah, and Cassie did end up getting just recently a second quote for carnival rides. Cassie, if you want to just mention what that first quote was and what this new quote amount was as well.
Yeah, so this quote is from a mid-sized carnival company, and they did propose giving us 20% of the gross revenue after the first $5,000 we would take in. So that's kind of more the plan I think you guys were looking for, how the former ride companies operated with Brimfest. However, an issue that I did not think about when considering having these rides in the roads is that they would need to set up on Wednesday and have inspections on Thursday for the rides being open on Friday and Saturday. So there's big considerations with road closures and things for that. And also they would need a place to stay. So if they're staying overnight, they would need to stay in their campers or to be put up in a hotel. So yeah, just a lot of confounding variables to think about.
What was the cost? Was there a cost for them to be here, or we just got revenue after $5,000?
Yeah, there was just the revenue after 5,000.
Are they providing electricity? They generally have generators with them.
Well, when they were up here, they hooked into our electric.
Yeah.
But they had that they always had a big generator sitting on the.
Doesn't look like generators are part of the contract.
Do we supply them electricity?
I would think we would need to. I would need to confirm.
Has the new owner of the plaza, has he given his input? Would he be willing to work with us for parking?
Yeah. So I had a meeting with him a couple of weeks ago, and we did discuss parking. He basically said it depends on his amount of business. I know we discussed an easement possibly, but I don't think he was interested in that idea necessarily. So yeah, that's another variable. We don't know, what kind of businesses he's going to get there. If he has, a sports bar and they have a big event that night, we could have a lot of parking or no parking.
I hate the idea of getting rid of the Brimfest, but geez.
I'll be blunt. I'm not supportive of getting rid of the Brimfest. It's a cornerstone of our community. I hear that from a lot of families. I would not be supportive of that at all.
So one of the things that we talked about, as Cassie mentioned, and I just want her to elaborate, is really, and we haven't named it, but we talked about creating like brim festivals, because the problem becomes so many cities, communities, counties have fairs, festivals, amusement rides. It as you know, even just here, it's very hard to find a date that doesn't conflict with another local activity. So that's the first one. And then as we get into the fall months, then we're faced with weather. And the Kelso House, they have been very gracious in allowing us to use their space. But as we know, if there is inclement weather, we have to shut down. Everything gets wet. It becomes a hazard. People get stuck. It's a grass lot. There's not much we can do if it's pouring down rain. So, we've talked about moving this to the street, but then as Cassie mentioned, now we're going to be looking at Wednesday through the event. I'm not sure how that would work either. And then it just becomes, there's so many things fighting against us right now. Do we look at doing some type of Brim Festival series where we build on all these events that the community loves? So it's Brimfest has been a great event for small families. As Cassie mentioned, do we build on to Touch a Truck? We have the inflatables, we have the train, we have all of the things that draw those small families in, and we put that in one festival. People love the live music, another Brim Festival where we're bringing it's a smaller event. We have multiple bands. Maybe that's a potential opportunity to have a beer garden, and again, bringing in some of those features of Brimfest. So it's not necessarily, it's just taking it from one large event and breaking it into a series of events, which also I think gives our residents more of an opportunity to attend, because if there is a homecoming or football games or something else going on, they can't attend it on the weekend when we hold it. So, this has been a long-standing event. We're just trying to figure out what's the best way to hold it that's most effective, pays back more for our residents, gives them more opportunity to attend without, all of the factors that we're kind of faced with as far as location, parking. As we talked about fireworks, we can no longer put off the same size fireworks display. there's just a lot of things that we can't do with our current structure.
Well, I'm looking too at Dairy Mart. They're going to be building. So that
Drug
takes,
mart,
I'm sorry, Drug Mart. They're going to be building their facility, and that takes that whole area where we've had parking available there before, and we won't have that because I don't know how long it's going to take them to get their facility built, but that takes that much property away from Brimfield time or Brimfest time.
Regardless of what decision we make here today, I mean, nothing's gonna change the fact that we don't have parking. I mean, if we want this festival to keep going on, you know, I think it's a great festival. It could be much better. I mean, it needs to come back up here. I mean, we got a lot of flat concrete here, but it's still, we don't have the parking. I mean, we've been lucky with Mike Casmero letting us use his plaza, but I mean, I'm afraid we'll get to it next year. You know, I won't be here, but you guys are gonna have to make a decision. Where are you gonna put all these cars? We're gonna keep festivals going.
Yeah, I'd like to have a conversation with the plaza owner. I mean,
I don't think we need to make a decision today. I think.
yeah, I just have concerns, and you know, I know the numbers of Brimfest have been lower than usual, but we haven't had the Brimfest that we had 6 years ago. We haven't had the rides. We haven't had the attractions. And all these little things are great, but these are little things that we should be doing anyways on top of Brimfest. This is what we're trying to accomplish in here. You know, Touch Truck should have been built up for the past few years. You know, having movie night, that's a small piece there. Having summer camps doesn't deal with bringing the families together, bringing the community together, bringing everybody together. It's really about that big piece. Brimfest has been a cornerstone of this community. I hear it from families after families. And I think they're gonna have the pitchforks if we start getting rid of Brimfest. I think we need to really dig in on this and look at it a little differently.
I mean, I think the best thing, you know, a lot of people probably don't believe me, but I mean, we got parking lot here. Just it's still the parking. We got to figure out where the heck they're going to park.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to have conversations with the
I mean,
plaza owner.
could we talk to the skipper group? Could we be having them park over there and run a shuttle back and forth?
I mean, there's ways that we could have some conversations to. I think the easy out is, well, let's just not do it. Let's just have a bunch of small events. The small events just don't pull the bigger numbers, though, either. If you have one big event, I think this is the big thing. And then people go to other cities. It's what we do as a family. We like to travel city to city on the weekends to experience different areas.
What happened with the Ravenna Balloon Fair? Are they going to the fair?
So, no, it's still in downtown, but they're not launching from Sunbow anymore. They're going out to the fairgrounds.
Sorry,
And I just want to say, no one's looking for an easy out. That struck with me because no one's looking for an easy out of Brimfest. There's a lot of work and dedication that goes into it, and no one's looking for an easy out here. It's looking at the challenges that we have before us. So even outside of parking, where are we going to put the carnival rides? We've talked about looking at the space behind the library, but we have a lot to do back there. The ground is uneven. There's safety concerns. So, you know, if we want
the carnival rides used to be back here.
Yeah, I mean, we used to do it all right
Mhm.
here.
Never had
And
them
that
up
was
front.
Casmeno's property as well, so.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how far we get back on that.
But
Plus,
I don't want you guys to
family
think that
people.
anybody's trying to have an easy out of this festival. Like this is something that a lot of us work on. I mean, it pulls every force here. So no one's looking for an easy out. We're already into mid-February, and this is already when we've started to plan. So if you guys are looking to help, you know, have some conversations and work out locations, wonderful, because we need help because we're not getting that. So if you are willing to have additional conversations and find those places, wonderful. We are more than welcome your support and your efforts in it, and we'll do whatever we can to move it forward.
What's the restrictions on closing roads? Roy, do you have any comment on that?
But nothing specific, but I think the main concern, I guess Craig probably shares the same thing, is need to have ingress and egress to get back into those residential developments back there.
But if we were to shut it off right at the edge of the park fields, so you could still have that ingress and egress on that
Coming out
backside.
Sterling Green,
Yeah.
coming back, as long as there's a way to get in and out right there. I mean, that's,
Yeah, we stop it there and then we bring it up to the library and stop it for setup. Then you
as
still
long as
have
there's
ingress.
ingress and egress. So if you block it going one way, but we can get out
They could have
around
some
Old Care and Sterling Green, that would be the main concern. Can we get through there? I'm sure Craig shares the same thing.
I mean, we'd have to coordinate that with the new apartment complex as well.
But we wouldn't be shutting down their road. I'd shut it down right before there. You see what I'm saying?
They would just have basically only that one way in and out for that window of time.
I see.
They would only have that one way in.
Okay. They could also, and hopefully we have the access open going into Wendy's too as well.
Yes, and then they'd have 2 accesses at that point.
And then just the funding. So I forget what the first, so we do have, a different way to look at these rides. The first company, I forget, do you remember what price point that was, Cassie? And that was a big package. So the price was high. It's not that we would include all of that, but I think that was somewhere around 50,000.
These
We
people are
would,
looking at the 2 days that we want.
Right.
And it's no money out of pocket for us. We're just getting percentage after revenue.
right. And we would just need to double check what happens if we don't get the $5,000 revenue. So what happens if we do happen to pick another rainy day and they don't get it? And then, there's been concerns expressed too from our first responders that they cannot commit to a full weekend of events as well. So, we would have to scale back, potentially scale back their participation as well.
Clarifying question, did you mention that if we hypothetically, if you wanted to look at that location, you move forward with this, was the thought that there would be rides would be set up along the roadway there or on the roadway itself? Or
That was my theory.
and then when would those be placed? So if Ribfest takes place on Friday evening and Saturday, when would those rides go out onto the road?
So they're
Wednesday.
saying Wednesday setup, Thursday
Okay,
inspection.
just an extra curveball I'm going to throw out there because we get a huge amount of traffic for people picking up their kids from Brimfield Elementary School that lines that entire roadway every day. So that would just be, I'll just add that to the list of logistical items that would need to be addressed.
Can't make a decision right
I think we need to figure out the parking situation first and have an honest conversation with across the street, the Skipper Group, to see if that's an option that exists there.
Isn't the one side of McDonald's all going to be developed? So we're not going
now. Oh, yeah, that's
to have
cool.
that anywhere. We got to be behind in the back.
Well, Nick, are you gonna try to talk to some of these people just to
If I need to reach out to some people or,
maybe I can call?
what was their response, Cassie, when you sat down for that meeting? Was he just an absolute no, a maybe? What was the conversation like?
He was willing to work with us, but also not willing to sacrifice parking if it would affect his businesses, which would make sense to the people renting spaces there.
Was he clear that it was just a Friday, Saturday? This wasn't like an every weekend
Yes.
ongoing?
Mhm.
Okay.
He couldn't commit just because he's still building, he's still collecting the businesses that are going to move into there. So he didn't want to commit to anything because he just doesn't know what's going to
Sure.
fill up the plaza.
Sue, you wanna say anything?
My suggestion was to try to get an easement off the property owner in the back. And when we have events like this, to have that cross easement going back and forth. Oh, I'm sorry. So my idea was to get an easement going back and forth with the property owner behind there. And I'm taking a look and we're pulling the easements that exist because one of the problems is when he bought the property back in here, the one access point off of the library is on his property. So I want to make sure we have an easement in place over there as well as the car wash and as well as, if we're going to use it for other events. So if we have an easement, we won't have to worry about this in the future, but I don't know if he's willing to do that. So.
How soon does this ride company need an answer from us?
It's first come, first serve. So as soon as we can. They did say this worked out well for them because they have an event in Southern Ohio the week before and an event in Northwest Ohio 2 weeks after. So it's kind of on their route. So.
All right. Other questions on this? All right, we'll take it under consideration.
Okay, thank you. Past programs that we've had this month, we had our Cookies and Cards Valentine's Day program that we have every year where we make cards to take to the nursing homes. And then on the 11th, we had chair yoga with Shine Ohio, which was really great. We had some of our seniors attend, and it was well received. As John mentioned earlier, I am requesting board approval for the demolition of 2 outbuildings and the removal of 2 piles of scrap materials at McGuire Park in an amount not to exceed $12,500. We did receive 1 quote for this, but we are still seeking other quotes as well.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the removal of outbuildings at McGuire Park not to exceed
I'll
$12,500.
make that motion.
Second. I'll second that.
So you're still working on getting
Yes.
supplemental quotes? Okay. And this is coming out of M&I, correct, Sean?
Township. Yep. And that's how we were able to fit it in so that we could get started at least and not have to delay too long.
What's the time frame on this?
Well, if we're setting, I don't know when we're planning to open the park, but I was thinking this spring. I said end
When
of
were you
April.
gonna have them torn down? What were you thinking?
Oh, well, we'd have to do it after the ground thaws, so I would think probably mid-April, mid to late April.
So there's been some concerns. Cassie mentioned that, you know, they've gone out there and there's been chairs in the barn that's falling. It's not in good shape. So we're bringing this for you now because, again, we have concerns that something might happen out there with the safety aspect. So Cassie is waiting on the second quote to come in, and we know at a minimum that this is, you know, at least the highest price that we would pay. But our goal would be once we get that next quote in, we would go ahead and get the commitment, and as soon as they can, just get them in here and remove that and take everything down.
Yeah, as soon as that ground cracks a little bit, they'll start. They
Yeah.
can get that out of there.
Roy, has your staff been going back there with the response to having some people hang out in the
Nothing
barn?
specific. Last time I drove there, there was a chain across the driveway to get back there.
Okay.
People aren't living out there, are they?
They're finding camping chairs, I guess. Or,
Well, said they feed the turkeys. Oh.
They really do.
Well, maybe they'll burn this thing down.
The camping chairs were already there. To clarify, they were in one of the scrap piles that needs to be removed. So not new camping chairs.
Okay.
All right.
all right, we got a motion on the floor.
All in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Under new business, I am working with Portage Soil and Water Conservation District to do some public education programs for our stormwater management plan. As part of the MS4 community, it's our responsibility to do some community outreach involving stormwater. So we are planning a make and take rain barrel workshop on March 18th, details to follow. And we are also planning a rain barrel community decorating project where people from the community can come in and paint and put their handprints on it and things. Right. The next item involves the athletic fields. So as I've discussed before, we have an issue at Lions Community Park with conflicting rentals at the baseball/soccer fields. Just a reminder that the baseball fields and the soccer fields are right next to each other in very close proximity. So we only rent out one of the fields at a time for safety reasons, because you can't have somebody playing baseball while someone's playing soccer. We don't want someone to get injured. So we have had some questions about availability of the fields for both baseball and soccer. So it's my suggestion that we've discussed having priority seasons for baseball and soccer, but I would like to officially request that we make the spring season priority for baseball and the fall season priority rentals for soccer. With the dates requested, we would have the rental request submission period for baseball for spring season be January 1st through February 15th, with soccer being February 16th through March 31st. And then for the fall season, soccer would be able to reserve May 1st through June 15th, and baseball softball would be able to reserve June 16th through July 31st. And then along with this, resident teams who have over 50% Brimfield residents would be given priority for both baseball and soccer teams.
So the piece of this, Cassie and I both kind of looked at some other local areas and cities just to see what they do. And everybody does a little variety of different things. The piece that is causing us issues here is the travel teams. So some local entities allow travel teams as long as there's a certain percentage of residents that are participating. Some don't. So this gives us a way to just clarify our policies. We are not looking at lowering a priority of a travel team. We are really just looking at resident participation with this recommendation.
So to clarify, just so I understand it, if you have baseballs running between January 1 and February 15th, and they have 3 teams submit for it, 2 of the teams are Brimfield teams, 100% Brimfield teams, and one of them is a travel team that's just got 1 or 2 kids playing. The Brimfield teams are going to get priority registration.
Correct.
If soccer comes then on the 16th to apply, are they going to get priority over that travel baseball team, or is that travel baseball team still going to trump them?
Baseball would get priority over soccer in the spring, regardless of whether they're a travel team or not.
I would disagree with that. I would change that where those travel teams would not get priority over local soccer teams and vice versa. Local travel soccer teams shouldn't get priority over local baseball teams that are looking to play. We got to try to keep the Brimfield residents here. I'm seeing too much money go to Talmadge and Mogador for these teams to play. The parents are paying money in our community, and then that money is going right over to Brimfield, going to Talmadge and Mogador. Those travel teams charge lots of money. They can go travel somewhere else. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. I would put them at the bottom of the list if they don't have that, meet that threshold.
Yeah, sure. And that's where the local, that's where the resident teams comes in. So if they are a travel team and they do have 80% Brimfield residents, I mean, they're still residents, they're still paying taxes here. So I don't see why we couldn't include them in that as well.
Yeah, if it was a majority Brimfield, right? But you get one Brimfield kid playing on that team, and he's going to trump an entire rec soccer team where we have 20 kids playing from Brimfield. That's bad business.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it.
Well, we also do offer the town center fields, which are exclusively for soccer. So soccer definitely gets an opportunity to play. I just want to make sure that baseball gets an opportunity as well.
Right, but it's about making it for these teams. And I said it wasn't just soccer. This is vice versa too. This is for baseball in the fall time to be able to play. And there's field sizes that come into this too.
That schedule would still allow the baseball team with 50% to kick the soccer team off.
Correct. I'm just
But
saying.
if the 100% travel team was there in the baseball side and the soccer wanted to come in, that was a resident soccer team, you're wanting to have the ability to kick them off.
Exactly. What I'm saying, if you got a rec team that's 99% Brimfield residents and they're getting kicked off because one kid from Brimfield is playing on the baseball team, I'm telling you, parents are mad. And I'm gonna say it. I give Tom Nader a lot of credit for keeping the soccer parents calm, because he's done a lot of field work for us to calm the storms about this, because those parents want to play here. They're tired of driving out to Talmadge. They're tired of driving out to Mogador. This is our community. This is for our kids, not those travel kids.
Well, and to think of that kid that has one player, who cares what their parents say in regards to that? They're not from Brimfield.
But that travel team's also charging $300, $400,
No,
$500.
I
They got money to go play somewhere else.
Oh,
They're
no.
just padding their accounts by
I'm
playing
agreeing
at the
with
low price.
I
Yeah, no,
agree.
I'm just saying it's frustrating.
Yeah, I would love to have the ability to have the local team have the field first.
Right.
Well, when we put that stadium up, it was for local. I mean, that's how we, when
And that was
we
kind of
went
the
around and
intention.
got money, we got we got a grant for it. We got all sorts. You remember, Chick? We did a lot of stuff for that to get it here.
It's all about
But,
keeping the local kids in.
When my kids were playing sports, the biggest problem I ever had down here was with the travel teams, because they want those fields 7 days a week. It was.
When our
It was-
prices
it
are
was-
so low compared to anybody else, people want to eat this up. Listen, I want to keep the prices low for our local residents, but I think you have to tell, hey, travel teams, if you want the fields, and maybe we change the dates some, maybe it's January 1 through January 31st for baseball, February 1st through February 28th for soccer, and then it opens up to teams that have less than 50% Brimfield residents beyond that point.
Sure.
but we create the opportunity where it's Brimfield families are getting these fields first.
Yeah.
Because
Are
they.
you having
they-
a lot, are you having a lot of problems from the travel teams? Are they
No,
renting most of the field?
I think the baseball teams, both travel and rec leagues, work pretty well together and alternating their dates. It's more the conflict between baseball and soccer.
And that's where the issues come from. You know, there's concern that soccer went to rent the fields and they couldn't because they were registered. But then the question came up, well, who's playing there? And then they start to hear it's a Mogador team. You know, it's teams outside of here. Parents just don't want to hear that, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
paying a lot of taxes to live here in this community.
yeah,
So this guideline that you have here, you're good with that. You just want to have a section under there that says if in an odd season, the soccer going into Brimfield season, they have the ability to kick a travel team off if they want.
Yeah,
But
or,
they can't kick
we'll
off
call
the
a resident
residential.
team with less than 50%, right?
But you couldn't kick off anybody that meets the requirements of.
Yeah, if
residential.
that field was booked out with 100% Brimfield baseball players for 7 days, it is what it is. The frustration comes when it's a travel team, a Mogador team, a Talmadge team. When you got a Mogador team using our field, that's our rivals. That's you know how the sports families are, John. It's,
Well,
it gets people fired up.
I'm for the.
You got a
I'm
Mogador
for
team
the
playing
rec
on our
teams. I
fields.
definitely am for the rec teams.
Yeah.
And I guess I would ask the question if we even tried to go over and rent a Mogador field with the Brimfield residential, how much willingness would they be to do that for us?
And so I think you just shorten the dates up. You do it 1/1 through 131, and then 2/1 through 228 for the soccer pieces. And then after that, you open it up if they cannot submit a roster with over 50% Brimfield residents.
Sure, that sounds fair to me.
Well, in our fields, just so you know, our fields are first come,
Used to be
first serve
100%.
unless you have a reservation. So
Yeah, I really
can
think it's. I
still
would.
go and play.
I would honestly say it should
Something
be 75%. Would be my opinion.
could go for the
Yeah, and that's
75.
why I wanted to get this on the books because our current policies just say first come, first serve. There's no
Yeah.
policies regarding
Well,
residency.
I'm definitely glad you're doing it. So
And then I would shorten up the same time frame for fall, 5/1 to whatever it is, 5:30 or 5:31, then 6/1 to 6:30 or 6:31, and then open it up to teams with less than 75% beyond.
Sure.
So why don't we fix this now? Because she's getting calls right now for people for the spring season and she needs to have some guidance. You want to switch that to 75%?
Well, we were
Or even
spring
60%.
season reservations have already started, so this would be for fall.
Yeah.
We don't want to change it. We don't want to
Okay.
change it because we've
hear
already
you.
got reservations.
Okay, I hear you. So then do we want to, I don't know, how do you want to write it up? Starting in the fall season, this is the requirement and leave this schedule here, but make it 75%?
I'd say just effective March 1st.
Sure.
Or I mean, we can even make it effective now, but know the fact that some teams have already pre-rented. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You
And that
can't
won't
you
be
can't go
effective.
back on a contract.
Yeah.
But I would make it effective now, John. And then the fall season would be applications for soccer would be 5/1 through 5/31, and baseball would be 6/1 to 6/30.
Okay. Why do you want to end it earlier than that?
That's priority, because then community people might want to rent, or other people might want to have rentals beyond that. Then on 6/30, or I'm sorry, 7/1, teams that have less than 75% Brimfield residents can now start renting those fields. Does that make sense? So we give them those time frames.
So do we want to pass that resolution right now?
I mean, every resolution is as good as the next one, so we might as well get it started. So Nick, you're making a motion.
I'll make a motion to develop the priority registration schedule. As we discussed, for clarification, in the spring season, baseball will have priority January 1 through January 31st. Soccer will have priority registration February 1st to February 28th. Any teams with less than 75% Brimfield residents will have priority registration starting March 1st.
Got it.
And then for fall season, May 1st, soccer will have priority registration May 1st through May 31st. Baseball, softball will have priority registration June 1st through June 30th. And then any teams having less than 75% Brimfield residents will have priority registration starting July 1st.
Okay.
That's the motion. Then second
I'll second it.
for discussion. Do we want to name it Brimfield or do we want to call it Brimfield Suffield? Just because kids play, like those leagues a lot of times are not a Suffield league, it's a field league.
From soccer perspective, they are. From baseball perspective, they're not. So
Well, they're in the process of potentially combining those now too.
nothing against Suffield, but I don't want to have 75% of the kids from Suffield playing on our Brimfield field. So I guess I'd
Right.
still want to have because Suffield doesn't pay taxes here. I guess
Right.
that'd be the
And I'm
only-
just asking the question because I know
Yeah.
they're starting to combine some leagues, so they're calling them more field leagues then.
Well, Field, the name of Fields takes in both schools.
Right.
So I don't say you have to say Suffield, you can say Fields, and that would be both of us.
Well, Suffield's got fields down there too that they could. I guess the reason I'm saying that, because I know in the past, if we wanted to go down as a Brimfield rec team and use their fields down there, was absolutely not. You couldn't use any of their fields. And this isn't the primary field either. Primary field's behind the high school, of the grade school, and the other one's behind the other grade school. So this is just an auxiliary field.
Right.
I don't know why we don't just keep it in the.
And I'm good with that. I just wanted to ask the question just because it's field school district.
Yeah.
I'd keep it Brimfield.
We'll just keep Brimfield. Okay. So that's the motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion on it?
All in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay.
So you
Thank
gotta
you.
make sure you get everyone notified.
Yep.
So.
All right. That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Parks and Rec?
No.
All right. We have no business on the agenda for IT, cemetery, and fiscal we already discussed. Any questions for those departments?
Cemetery. You want to talk about?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that. Yep. Cemetery. Good. Sue.
Holly's got.
Oh, you want me to? All right.
Way on that.
We had a cemetery meeting, day before yesterday. We discussed the Memorial Day event that we have at the cemetery. So the concern is, I think more recently, the Memorial Day, ceremony that we have at the cemetery, generally, the majority of the people attending are the choir and family members of the choir. We don't have a lot of participation anymore. We're finding that from what we've noticed, I think the younger generation doesn't come out to the cemetery as much or celebrate the Memorial Day celebration as it used to be. So we've been talking for, I think, at least the last 2 years on what do we do with this Memorial Day celebration, Memorial Day ceremony at the cemetery? Should we continue to do this, or should we redevelop this and do something a little bit different because it's just not drawing the attendance for all the effort that we're putting into it? So our committee met and discussed it, and everybody was on board that we should reevaluate how we're doing that ceremony. We discussed moving to just doing some videos on our social media and our website. So doing multiple videos, one going around showing the flowers, showing the grave sites of our military veterans, focusing in on some specific grave sites, but more so doing this in a social media way to really highlight those areas versus having an actual ceremony in the cemetery.
More a virtual cemetery Memorial Day, but then also identifying the people that have passed away in the last year and having a little thing about each one of them that have passed away in that, event for the year. We've lost to the church for pancake breakfast, and we definitely lost to Suffield. Everybody goes to Suffield and nobody comes to our event. So how many people in this room went last year? Did you guys go to the ceremony last year?
They were there.
they're
Yeah.
there.
The spread's
always
good to
there.
everything though. No, that might have been an easier way because I think we had probably, what do we think, 8 or 9 people that were non-choir or township people that were there.
Maybe.
We can't even get the band to come. We can't get the Boy Scouts to come anymore.
And we can't get
lose them to other
a
events.
bugler to play taps.
Because the band goes to Suffield. I think that's where the Boy Scouts went because they were in the parade. So we lost out on them as well.
So Jendy put the list together of names for us. So really, again, is doing kind of a virtual celebration, multiple videos around that date, highlighting different things to really kind of showcase and celebrate our the veterans and military. And but anyways, that is what the committee voted for to do for this year's ceremony.
Now, we would still be putting the flags on all the military people in the cemetery. And we would also having the flowers that we've had in the past. We've always ordered flowers, put new stuff on whatever. And I just want to say I was disappointed that it's hard to get a 21 gun salute and all those things that go with it. And also we had very few military guys come to the ceremony. And I think we should have a real good top-notch social media output. I think we can do that.
Take a question from Chick.
Chick, what do you think about that? Do what?
Don't do away with the celebration. You're gonna have a lot of people upset here that overdo.
Well, you know, the Boy Scouts didn't come last year for whatever reason. And thank goodness the fire department was there. They did the ceremony.
They went to Suffield
They went
for
to
the parade.
They were in the parade at Suffield.
I think once the
That's what we originally were doing, the celebration during the parade, which we had low numbers. And that's why we moved it earlier in the morning. I'll be honest, I struggle with getting rid of any of these celebrations, especially celebrations for our armed forces. I understand what everybody's saying, but if one person shows up, sometimes it's worth it because it's a place for them to go. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if this is the best course of action. Just to go to social
rid of
media.
it, I'll jump on that. And not that I'm getting rid. I'm on the cemetery committee, so I'll say that. But trying to figure out a different way to get to more people than we do right now. They're not going to change their parade at all down there.
Yeah. So
We
yeah,
lost
I
to
think
the
we should
church,
take
too. The
this.
pancake breakfast we lose there.
John, we'll have to take this under advisement. I mean, we can talk about it here, but I just don't want to open up a discourse with the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to check
Okay.
because you've been a part of it. For so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. So are you asking for a motion to change the event, or are you just making a
We had that suggestion, but it's up to you guys to do it. So it's our suggestion.
Maybe we have a suggestion of taking a breather and pausing for 1 year. We have
Whenever you pause, it never comes back.
Well, we have 14,000 people that live in Brimfield. And we should have more, just like the Brimfest, we should have more of our community people come out and get involved.
But it's the same thing. Same people do all the volunteer work.
They
same
do,
people. It
they
just,
do.
I mean, the life's too busy anymore. Social media.
When what
You're
we're
lucky if you
finding,
get
and
your
I hate
kids
to
off
say
their
this, but
phones.
the people that used to come to our Memorial Day are passing away, and none of the younger people are coming to take their spots. So we're just losing more and more people every single year, but there's nobody coming to fill their spots.
Are you talking
and
about
so
the
we have
younger,
6
you
people
talking
showing.
about the younger people being in their 40s?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The younger
Yeah, so maybe make it
parents?
50. 50
They're
and
not
below, we're
passing,
not
they're
getting.
not passing it down. They're not-
and I want to say the cemetery again, these things aren't taken lightly. And even for 2024, we had the concerns because the participation has been very low. And what we saw at that event was outside of township staff and township's children's that came with us or the choir, there were only, I don't even know
I
that
think
there
we
were.
thought 6.
I don't
So
even
many
know that
people
there were
had.
6 there. Once that choir was done, it was pretty sparse. So, at some point we just have to look at, and I completely understand, our goal is to celebrate our veterans. It's to celebrate those who've passed. It's, we still want to honor them by doing the flags and the flowers. But at some point, if people aren't coming, we just have to look at changing those events to try and figure out how to attract them. And it's just not happening the way that we're doing it.
We were trying, we weren't getting rid of it. We were just trying a different way to to go about it that might get more people involved with it. So yeah, it wasn't to just say forget Memorial Day. It was just let's change how we do Memorial Day from the way we're doing it now because it doesn't seem to draw any interest.
Boy Scouts went to Suffield. We ended up having last minute to get our firemen there. It's just every piece of it, people are doing different things and they're just not attending. So that's why they voted to just change up the format.
So we can definitely just table that and then come back. I mean, it's just.
I'd like table just to think about it for a little bit.
Okay.
To get some feedback.
We'll just leave it.
Anything else under cemetery?
You want to move the table?
There wasn't a motion on the floor, so we don't have to move the table.
Okay.
Well, can you just add that again, Holly, for
Absolutely.
All right, anything under fiscal?
nope, we already did it.
Any questions for fiscal? All right, hearing none. Anything good for the order of Brimfield Township from the board or department heads? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this
I
meeting.
will make the motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes,
They're adjourned at 5:21 PM.
thank you.
The thing going on with my mother.
Well, it's-